Good evening and welcome to Primetime News, coming to live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Bandin Jai Singha. Let's now take a look at headlines.
President Maithripala Sirisena inaugurates the renovation of 2,400 rural tanks and the second phase of the Vayamba Ella project. Delimitation report rejected in Parliament. Attorney General files legal action against Gotabaya and 6 others at the Permanent High Court at Bar. Scott Morrison appointed as new Prime Minister of Australia.
President Maithripala Sirisena attended the inauguration ceremony of second phase of Vayamba Ella project, which was held under the theme Yalipi Bidena Sirilaka Mahavari Shishtacharya.
The inauguration ceremony for the renovation of 2,400 rural tanks connected with the Lanka Gammana or the Cascade Tank village system in the dry zone and the commencement of the second phase of the Vayamba Ella commenced today. The President declared open the project office at the banks of the Kumvukulava River in Polpitigama. He later attended a gathering at the Polpitigama public grounds. The event was attended by the ambassadors of Iran, China, representatives of the Chinese state construction firm, politicians and high-ranking officials of the security forces.
අනාගත ලෝකේ කාලගුණික සහ දේශගුණ වෙනස් වීම පරිවර්තනයන් සමග රුධිරයට වඩා
We must bear in mind, with climate change and the change in weather patterns, drinking water will become more valuable than blood in the future. 97% of climatologists have predicted that in the future the whole of mankind and all living beings will face a serious issue in access to water. There is a global index on the countries that face serious impacts from climate change. 50 years ago, we were ranked in the 90s. However, we are now ranked at number 4 among the countries that will face serious impacts from climate change. I have a message for loggers, sand extractors and miners. You are playing with the lives of the people of the present and the future.
In view of controlling the spread of kidney disease, 9 reverse osmosis water purification plants were vested with the public.
The Sri Lanka Audit Services Union says it will inform international bodies on the failure to approve the due salary of the Auditor General in Parliament. Speaking in Parliament yesterday, State Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs Dr. Harsha De Silva said top officials of the public sector should be given higher salaries.
When it comes to state and financial institutions, we need to have the ability to appoint persons we need to those top positions. We must also bear in mind the salary they would draw if they join a private institution rather than a government institution. Heads of institutions may even draw salaries that are 10 or 20 times higher than the salaries of MPs and ministers. We must not single out the Bank of Ceylon or the People's Bank. We must reach a common understanding on this matter. Suren Ratwata was employed at Sri Lankan Airlines for a 3 million rupee salary. What was done? He was removed for a 6 million rupee salary. If this is the case, the airline could have been revived. Although these comments were made in Parliament yesterday, the salary of the Auditor General has not been approved in Parliament even after 3 years. Leader of the House, Minister Lakshman Kiriyala, said in Parliament yesterday the proposal was withdrawn even after this has been delayed for years. The Auditor General has built a strong opinion in society about financial irregularities, so we suspect if you are attempting to slash his benefits and salary increments to weaken him in fulfilling his responsibilities. Deputy Speaker, the Auditor General has revealed many fraudulent activities that took place in the public sector. It has become a headache to the government now. Sri Lanka Audit Services Union also commented about this matter. They say the salary of the Auditor General will not be approved in Parliament. What is the message conveyed to the state sector employees then? Is it that they will not be paid enough after working hard? We as a union express our strong objection against this. The international organizations are on the same stance. They say the salary of the most independent person is not approved. We will inform the Auditor Generals of these countries that come under the United Nations that they are seeking revenge by not approving the salary of the Auditor General. Although the salary of the Auditor General was not approved in Parliament, revelations about salaries of certain government affiliates in the public sector were made in Parliament yesterday. A request was made by the General Manager of the People 0.1 million rupees instead of 100,000 rupees. There is a salary anomaly calculated up to 75 million rupees for this general manager. It was revealed recently that the director of the People's Bank has obtained a loan of 10 billion rupees. Authorities have not taken any steps to remove or suspend payments made to the government affiliates even after cases of misappropriation were revealed. If you keep quiet, you will receive your salary. If this is the treatment you get for working hard and protecting the country, every public servant will not fulfill their responsibility. This is the example set by the government. If the government thinks that they will let him retire after serving for 3 years without a salary, we will collect money from the department and pay his salary. While the salary of a state sector employee is less than 100,000 rupees, the government is paying 200,000 rupees for a monitoring MP. The salary of an official who's responsible for just one company is 2.1 million rupees. This is the situation of the country. The country is being destroyed day by day. Is this what you call good governance?
Auditor General Gamini Vijay Singh, speaking to Newsfirst, said he will continue to work towards protecting public funds, irrelevant of whether he is provided a salary or not.
The salary of the Auditor General has not been approved yet. Payments are being made approximately. I got to know that this was debated in Parliament yesterday and that it was withdrawn. I am just waiting for things to happen as they may unfold. Although my years are almost at an end, I will continue to serve the remainder of my term. What is due to happen will happen. I know the President approved that the salary should be at the level of the judicial sphere. Under the 19th Amendment, the Auditor General's department has been vested with special powers. However, it is said that due to pressure from various groups, the old system is to be implemented. I hope that the salary is approved before I retire. We have saved billions of rupees for the country.
The Delimitation Committee report on provincial councils was defeated in Parliament today. The report received 139 votes against and none in favour. Here are some of the views expressed in Parliament regarding the Delimitation Committee report.
You presented this report, took it up for a debate and now inquiring into everyone's opinion. How is this valid? If this was presented on the 8th of March according to the Act, this should have been taken up for debate and a vote before the 8th of April. 5 months have passed. So why are you presenting it to Parliament now? Why do you want to debate or conduct a vote? Deputy Speaker, the Act doesn't allow for that report to be debated or voted for in Parliament. The Act says this has to be done within a month from the date it was presented. Why are you doing this 5 months later? What's the reason for it? What you're saying is correct. This has to be presented to Parliament in another month. But just because this is not presented, the legality of it does not cancel. I presented this on the 8th of March. The party leaders did not discuss this for 5 months and present this to Parliament. Therefore, the legality of it cannot be questioned when it is presented to Parliament today. Honourable Deputy Speaker, as per the parliamentary traditions, just because it has been delayed doesn't mean that it is cancelled. You can present this to Parliament and approve it. That is the tradition. Are you against this act? I want a straight answer. You say that this will be legal after it is presented, after it being approved. If there is no requirement to postpone the provincial councils, will you vote to approve this? We will provide the vote. Earlier, you said that you will object it. If the Parliament does not approve this, the election will be delayed. There is an appeals process and the process is to take this to a committee of 5 headed by the Prime Minister. There is no problem of the election being delayed. We will go into the appeals process as per the Act.
The Singapore-Sri Lanka FTA was also subject to debate in Parliament today.
There is a massive challenge with regard to the environment with the Sri Lanka-Singapore Free Trade Agreement.
Parliamentarian Bandula, there was a debate in Parliament regarding the Sri Lanka-Singapore Free Trade Agreement.
No. This is not something that can end after a debate like that. This is an issue that will affect unborn generations to come. This cannot end with a debate like that. You must take steps to present it to Parliament in Sinhala.
I think it has been sent to Parliament now. I will check and let you know. As far as I know, it has been presented.
නීතිපතිතුමාගේ උපදෙස් අරගෙන
The Attorney General stated there would be no issue if this is signed. He said it is not necessary to present it to Parliament. So I got this advice from the Attorney General.
An interpretation must be sought on the Constitution from the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court says that as per Article 157 this does not have to be presented, then we will accept it.
If you have a problem, present it to the Supreme Court.
The Attorney General signs and approves everything. No, wait, listen to my argument. It is only if the law concerning this comes to Parliament that it can be taken to the Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court will say if this article affects this or not. If there is to be a force of law, the Parliament has to approve it.
Singapore, Sri Lanka, Nidas.
Are you aware of the effect that this Singapore Free Trade Agreement would have on the crude oil industry and your corporation? Have you conducted an evaluation of it? I would like to know if discussions were held with the relevant subject minister.
No, we haven't seen this agreement as yet. It is said that it will be presented to Parliament.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, when Sri Lanka and Singapore are signing a free trade agreement, does it not come under the Cabinet for approval? Honorable Minister, you are a member of the Cabinet.
About these obstacles you speak of, I will look into it and inform you of it.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, this Singapore Free Trade Agreement was presented to Cabinet. It was discussed and approved by Cabinet.
It is clear by the statement made by Honorable Minister of Petroleum Resources Development that the Singapore Free Trade Agreement was not discussed. So now, are there two cabinets, Leader of the House?
Minister Malik Samaravikrama presented it and it was discussed in Cabinet.
However, the Cabinet decision was that this will be discussed with experts and those affected by this and will be presented in Cabinet again. Check on it. This agreement was reached through the back door. Therefore, if we are the 225 representatives who represent the sovereign power of the general public of this country, why was this agreement that will affect the life and destiny of the people signed like this? And now the ministers don't know about this. The ministers have not been told about this. They have not understood. Without doing all this, where are you trying to take the country through this free trade agreement? Even during the presidency of J.R. Jayawardena, such foolish steps weren't taken.
The FTA signed by Sri Lanka with Singapore continues to attract concern and controversy both at the same time. Experts have expressed concern that the ramifications of some aspects of this agreement have far-reaching and detrimental effects for the people of Sri Lanka.
First and foremost, the Singapore FTA does not in any way affect the status quo, because all we have done is in all these agreements there are prohibited areas and non-prohibited. Prohibited areas are small. Now the non-prohibited areas we have taken off the Pakistan FTA. So if the Pakistan FTA was good enough for previous governments, it should be the same wording, should be good enough for this ones also. But
the question arises whether the Prime Minister, Minister Malik Samaravikrama and whoever is involved in this FTA are aware of these facts. According to the Business Times of Singapore, in its August the 18th edition, Singapore is a nation of plastic. 467 million plastic bottles are used in Singapore each year, which translates to 94 Olympic-sized swimming pools. 2. Singapore also uses 820 million plastic bags. This translates to a land area equivalent to 126 gardens by the bay. And 3. Singapore also used 473 million plastic containers. This is the equivalent to the landmass of 3 Sentosa Islands. On Newsline today, former Director General of Commerce with extensive experience in the negotiations of FTAs, Gomi Senadira, warned of serious consequences for Sri Lanka if the situation is not arrested immediately. Mr. Senadira was responding to claims by the appointed National List MP and now Cabinet Minister as well as former UNP chairman Malik Samaravikrama, that there was no reason for alarm. However, Mr. Senadira went on to flag the possible consequences to Sri Lanka in terms of importing garbage, when China has already imposed a ban on the import of garbage for disposal, citing serious concerns.
In the end, is this really what Sri Lanka is being reduced to deal with somebody's garbage, and which may be hazardous, which may be radioactive?
Now, Ministry's response to my statement, they say I'm wrong, and I'll be the happiest person if I am wrong. But my concern is, as I said, that people are looking for investment in this area to set up factories, and if they do, if we do not take immediate actions to modify this list of imports under the agreement, we will have to, once we go into arbitration, we will have to pay to our nose.
Is this really and truly what our Sri Lanka has been reduced to deal with somebody else's garbage, which may be hazardous and radioactive? It is clear, if the ministers of this government cannot fulfill the tasks assigned to them, the only option left would be to resign and leave.
Parliamentarian Ranjit Soiza revealed in Parliament yesterday details of Sandarwan Senadira, a person who has warrants issued against his name, receiving money from 3 top-tier politicians. The account number used for the transactions was revealed in Parliament today.
I state with responsibility that 3 key officials of the government have used Sandarwan Senadira, against whom the court has issued a warrant and now living in London, to create a web mafia. They have taken steps to attack and ruin the reputation of a group of joint opposition leaders and civil activists.
On behalf of the benchmarkers of the government, £25,000 has been granted to Lanka E-News. They used that money to fund the account. They used this to attack the government members who are criticizing the government and the opposition members on the internet as well as on Facebook. The account details are from Rajagiriya Commercial Bank. The account number is 1620040162. We asked the speaker to look into this.
The 3 main characters of the UNP had gone to London, and as per the information we have received, they have paid over £25,000 to attack the president and the SLFP. The websites are feeding the people fake information continuously. We have the details with us. We state this with responsibility. It is because of this money that was given that certain web media that is operating from England are attacking the president and the SLFP. And on the other hand, they speak so highly about several people who hold senior positions in the United National Party. We can imagine what is going on. If we say we are a unity government, you have to refrain from carrying out these activities.
Minister Sujeeva Sena Singh expressed these views at an award ceremony held at the Murutu Divisional Secretariat.
අධිවේගී මාර්ගය චීනේ පොඩ්ඩක් පරක් කරනවා පළවෙනි කෑල්ල දෙවෙනි කෑල්ල අපේ ලංකාවේ කට්ටියට දුන්නා එන අගෝස්තු වෙනකොට හදලා ඉවරයි මම ජනාධිපතිවරු හිටියා නම් මම පළවෙනි කෑල්ලක් දෙනවා ලංකාවේ කට්ටියට චීනේ අදිනවා මේක පොඩ්ඩක් අපි පගා ඉල්ලන්නේ අපි කොමිෂන් ඉල්ලන්නේ විමට වැටුණු පක්ෂයක් එතන පුළුවන් අවුරුදු 24 විපක්ෂේ ජේ.ආර්. ජයවර්ධන මහත්තයා ඉන්න කාලේ අපි අවුරුදු 5යි වැඩිම කාලේ විපක්ෂේ ඩී.එස්. මහත්තයා කාලේ 5යි වැඩිම විපක්ෂේ පුදුම සුනාමියක් වැදුනේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයට අවුරුදු 25ක.
Who is the tsunami?
The Attorney General filed a case against former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa and 6 others at the Permanent High Court of Trial at Bar.
This is the second case filed at the new High Court since it was established recently. Indictments were filed over the abuse of public funds for the construction of the D.A. Rajapaksa Museum and Memorial. The Attorney General had considered the investigation's report prepared by the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division and filed indictments against 7 defendants, including former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, former Chairman of the Sri Lanka Land Reclamation and Development Corporation Prasad Harsha De Silva, and the former General Manager of the corporation Badra Udulavati Kamaladasa.
The 7th edition of the Construction Expo was organized by the Ceylon Institute of Builders and the Lanka Exhibition and Conference Services today to showcase the participants' products and services which cover all spheres related to the industry.
Construction Expo is considered as Sri Lanka's largest and most focused construction industry-related exhibition.
As an industry, construction accounts directly for around 7% of our GDP. But more tellingly, the sector serves almost all other industries, as economic value creation tends to occur within or by means of building or other building assets. What is more, these built assets, whether roads, hospitals, water and sewerage systems or residential housing, profoundly affect the quality of our lives. The population of the nation's urban areas is increasingly rapidly, all of whom need affordable housing as well as social transport and utility infrastructure. Such trends pose challenges but also offer opportunities. Either way, they require an adequate response from the government as well as from the construction industry as a whole.
You're watching Primetime News. Let's now cross over to a short commercial break. The selling price of the Sri Lankan rupee reached a new low today against the US dollar to 162.11.
A research carried out by the University of Colombo identifies that exchange rate volatility affects export competitiveness. It adds that it has an impact on export growth. It concludes that Sri Lanka's export trading activities could be expanded by maintaining a stable competitive real exchange rate.
The immediate issue that we have right now as exporters is the fluctuating exchange rate, and we need to see some sense with terms to the stability of the rupee against the US dollar in particular. There is a common thought or school of thought that when the rupee weakens against the US dollar, that is good for exporters. Now let me tell you that that's a fallacy. That does not really happen, because we have a sizable export of value-added export. Our items that are value added, in fact, have sometimes up to 96% of important components that go into the value addition. So then fallacy of the rupee weakening and the exporter gaining is very much pronounced, because tend to face the dangers of being competitive against other markets where you don't have such fluctuations, or the fluctuation is not that very sharply pronounced. So we need to have probably even intervention of the central bank, which against the Sri Lankan rupee.
The permanent High Court trial at bar granted bail to former President's Chief of Staff Gamini Senarath and 3 other defendants in the first ever case taken up at the new court. The 4 defendants face 24 indictments, which include the criminal misappropriation of 500 million rupees, which belongs to Litro Gas Company.
Each defendant was released on a surety bail of 100,000 rupees each and 2 other surety bails of 1 million rupees each. They are barred from overseas travel and were ordered to surrender their passports to court. The defendants are Gamini Senarath, Piyadasa Kuda Balage, Neil Bandara Hapuhinna and Lasantha Bandara. The indictments were read out in court and were handed over to them. Is it this case that needs to be filed here as the first case? The bond scam needs to be filed. Greater money laundering matters must be brought here. This case is taken based on the fact that it is connected to the former President's Chief of Staff. We have faith in the judiciary and we are not afraid.
මොකද පෙට්‍රෝල් මහා බැඳුම් කරනවා එක ලොකු වංචාවක්. එතකොට දැන් මේ වංචාවක් තියෙද්දි මහජන නියෝජිත වශයෙන් මේ වගේ දෙයකට සහභාගී වෙන්න ඔබතුමාලට සදාචාරාත්මක අයිතියක් තියෙනවා. මොකද මට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් මෙතන තියෙන්නේ මුදල් වංචාව සම්බන්ධ නඩුවක්. ඔයා දන්නවද? ඔයා දන්නේ මම බూరు කතානේ.
All preparations have been made for the launch of Phase 3 of the Gum at the Door-to-Door initiative. The initiative is aimed at identifying the issues faced by the rural mass in Sri Lanka. Multi-religious leaders were made aware of the details of the program today. The Chief Prelate of the Askeri chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Varakagura Jnana Ratana Thero, was informed of the Phase 3 of the Gum at the Door-to-Door program today. Dr. Tilak Bandar, representing the Peradeniya University, who are assisting the Newsfirst teams in conducting the island-wide survey, Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Organization, Shevan Daniel, and high-ranking officers of Newsfirst were present at the occasion.
දශකයකට කලින් මට කතා කරලා කිව්වා අපි දැන් වාර්තා කරනකොට අපිට වාර්තා කරන්නේ එහාට යන්නේ ගමට ගිහිල්ලා ඒ ගමේ ජනතාවත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙන ක්‍රමයක් හොයන්න කියලා. එතනින් තමයි අපි ගම්මැද්ද අතරම පටන් ගත්තේ. ඒ වැදගත් උනේ තමයි අපි හමුදුනේ මේ ජනතාවට සම්බන්ධ
A group also called on the Chief Prelate of the Malhatu chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera. The Chief Prelate was informed of the areas that are due to be covered under the third phase of this project. The Gum at the Door-to-Door initiative will begin on the 28th of this month. The information collected through the project conducted together with the Peradeniya University will be used to compile a report.
Hindu religious leaders were made aware of the project in Matakulia this evening. The Chief Maulavi of the Colombo Grand Mosque was informed about the Gum at the Door-to-Door campaign at the mosque this evening. A Newsfirst team also called on the Auxiliary Bishop of Colombo, His Lordship Most Reverend Dr. Maxwell Silva, and received blessings for the Gum at the Door-to-Door project, which is to commence next week. Labourers employed for the construction of the second phase of the Central Expressway, which is from Meerigama to Kurunegala, staged a protest today against the failure to pay their wages for the past 2 months.
It is reported that the construction of the 3-kilometre stretch of the road from Godapola to Naila is carried out by CML workers. Around 300 workers have not been paid their wages for 65 days.
For the past 3 months, CML has not paid our salaries. We don't have money to eat. They get the work done by us, but they have failed to pay us. There is no pay sheet for these dues as well.
They make constant promises that we will be paid the next day. It never happens. They lie to us and send us to work. But we never get a salary and everyone at home is in hunger.
I dropped my child at tuition class and gave a 20 rupee note because that is how much it costs for the bus. Can a child even buy a sweet? I'm penniless right now. I don't even have fuel in my motorcycle.
This company is owned by MTD Workers, which was at the centre of the controversy for obtaining a loan facility of 10 billion rupees from the People's Bank. When inquiries were made on this loan facility, the management of the Central Bank and People's Bank repeatedly said the due process has been followed on this matter. When will these workers be paid their due salaries? Governor of the Central Bank, Chairman of the People's Bank, the General Manager and the Board of Directors, this is for your attention.
Scott Morrison has become Australia's new Prime Minister after Malcolm Turnbull was forced out by party rivals in a bruising leadership contest. He will be Australia's 6th Prime Minister in less than 10 years. I'm Bernadine Jayasinghe. Take care. Good night.